Paula Marie Kilgarriff. She's from Ireland, and she's a fashion and retail consultant, and she's an innovation consultant as well. And she is a lecturer who has been teaching people and businesses about fashion for many, many years. She's also a TEDx speaker, and yeah, she's very inspiring. And she's been actually, she had an experience of working and living in Asia, in China, and teaching Chinese big fashion companies how to actually do their business and how to be sustainable as well. And today she's going to talk about something very interesting and very new. Hello, Paula. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Hi guys, how are you? I just jumped out of class there, so thank you so much for having me. So I'm a Web3 lecturer and a fashion retail innovation consultant, and I also work with Clout.art, which is a Web3 metaverse company tokenizing social media posts. So we're NFTing social media posts, and we're part of the tokenization of things. So thank you so much for asking me to join today. So I don't have a PPT that it'll be unveiled on the 25th in November. I think we're having another meetup, I think, with the unit masters, I believe.
Yeah. It's
on the program.
Yeah, we'll tell you you guys more about it. And let's crack on. We're going to talk about Metaverse and everything.
On the program. Free. And you know why Web3 is existing. Well, what I tell my students is, you know, existing social medias were built in Web2, and Web2 is about centralization. So as we're moving into Web3, it's more about the decentralization. And people often ask me, you know, what's the difference between the different kind of products and services in fashion, particularly when we're building out different kinds of artificial intelligence and blockchain applications. And I always say, well, Web2 is more about, like, it's quite analytical, it's quite rational, it looks at different parts of the internet. While Web3 is much more, how will I say, it synthesizes information, it's more intuitive, it's much more decentralized, and it's focused around building these decentralized communities. So we're basically replicating Web2 with Web3 in a decentralized fashion. Metaverse. I know you guys asked me earlier what my definition of the metaverse was. Do you guys have is the connection okay?
Your connection is breaking a little bit, but yes, let's try our best to connect and talk about the metaverse. How would you define metaverse, by the way?
Well, it was actually my students who defined metaverse for me. Internet, AR and VR, and it's going to change the way we work and play. So this is a direct, actually, because when I speak about it in class, sometimes they say, oh, Miss, you make it very, very complicated. What can we explain to you what we think it is? Because these are Generation Z, and they do want to have these new experiences, particularly in education and retail and in gamification. This is what we need to expect in the next couple of years, particularly in education, but also how we sell and market our fashion products and services. So yeah, that's my definition.
Thank you so much. And well, how do you see Metaverse is evolving in adding value? And what is the most prospective project right now in Web3 you're seeing at the moment?
Okay, cool. So with so the types of features that Web3 offers would be NFTs, DAOs, and types of metaverse projects. So for me personally, the metaverse project that I'm working on at the moment is Clout.art, which is a social media NFT minting platform, and you can visit it at app.clout.art. And basically what I'm doing is I am helping the creators of Instagram to monetize their social media content. That's the first thing. So we basically provide an NFT minting platform for social media posts for free. We pay for the gas fee, etc. The second function of this Web3 company that we do is called Creator Pools, which is based on the tokenization of things. So we have our local Sway token, and you can actually become a stakeholder stakeholder rather than a follower, if that makes sense. So Web3 tokens vehicles where we can decentralize these type of activities and put the power in the hands of the creator and the followers. So the followers become the stakeholders. So this is would be an example of a Web3 project.
Paula, sorry, we're losing you. Internet is a little bit unstable.
Okay, hold on. One sec. Let me see. I'll change.
Sorry, guys. Just a little bit.
Is that better? I hope that's better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I was on we have 30,000 students. The network is busy. Yes, so I was explaining to you about my Web3 project. So we focus on minting social media NFTs and providing a mechanism that allows the creator's followers to invest in the creator's content. So we say staking is the new following. So these type of businesses, use cases, platforms, and APPs can exist today because of Web3.
Wow. Can you elaborate a little bit more on which platform you're using?
Yes.
It's on blockchain, right? So what is the technology behind it?
Sure. So basically, we're on the Ethereum blockchain and Polygon, and Polygon is a layer 2 solution. So Clout.art is built on the Polygon network. So they're the guys who look after the tokenization, the minting of the NFTs, and that type of thing. Every Web3 platform and app is based on another type of layer, and these are connected then to different kinds of blockchains. Currently, I think we've over 60 different kinds of blockchains. Not all blockchains have their own cryptocurrencies. Different blockchains offer different kinds of apps and platforms. But to be fair, the Web3 infrastructure is going to look like Web2, similar in terms of how we build out different kinds of platforms and applications. So we're basically replicating that, but in a decentralized form.
Thank you. I'm very interested that in this whole metaverse and NFT and gaming industry. I'm working with a client who is in gaming as well, and I can see that a lot of NFTs right now are in the gaming industry. But as we're talking about fashion, and is this the next biggest industry that is going into metaverse, or there are more industries that are going to that similar direction?
That's a great question. To be fair, I'm very lucky to be working in fashion and retail, because who doesn't like fashion and retail? They're great examples. I definitely think the fashion and retail industry will be one of the first to capitalize on metaverse, because metaverse is essentially a glorified, interactive, super turbo powered marketing tool. And this is how we can develop long-term relationships with our customers. I'm sure in other industries are participating in metaversal activities, but the most, maybe the education system. I think I told you I was chatting to my first years and they asked me, was the module available in Saber Beats or Beat Sabers? Maybe in the future. So even in education, we see that a lot of the content in the future will have this kind of 3D interactive gamification. And the great thing about these, gamification learning platforms is that you get instantaneous feedback. And this, gives the person a sense of, oh, I'm doing something, I'm building something. And even in terms of like educators, like we have a lot of feedback forms to fill out. And if this is done instantaneously if we have to train maybe a piece of AI that does our corrections for us or can provide these kind of tools, I definitely think the education system is gonna rock this one. Yeah.
Thank you. Paula, why do you think metaverse is extremely important for the fashion industry at the moment and in the future? How is it going to transform fashion? And for you as an educator and somebody who has been working with big corporations, and as well as educating students about sustainability, fashion, and consumer behavior. How do you think it's going to affect us in the near future?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, essentially, we need to go back to the customer. So we know currently in Web 2 that we do customer journey mapping. And marketing. Well, there's kind of two official ways. Marketing, I suppose, is capitalizing on the insecurities of customers and creating products and services they think they need. And this is kind of like the informal approach to marketing. But then, of course, there's the developing the long-term relationship. So traditional Web 2 technology would have like algorithms that are predicting consumer buyer behavior. They can help us forecast the supply chain in real time, so we stop overproduction. So the metaverse is going to give this great opportunity to the consumers to participate in what we call co-creation and these kind of real-time supply chains. So for example, if I was chatting to the head of Metaverse Nike yesterday, we were having a conversation about co-creation. I'm thinking, okay, we're opening up the supply chains. We're giving the consumer access to modifying, different kinds of digital and physical products. So they're becoming part of the journey. So I think Metaverse and Web3 is going to allow this type of, and these, they're not customers, they're more like communities. So you're building these communities and these long-term relationships with customers by getting them involved and taking them on the journey. Well, this is how the product is made. This is how we're going to augment it. This product is available in the digital or the physical world, and so on. So that's, again, going back to Web3 and the metaverse, gives the retail service and product providers this type of connection directly to the consumers. So we can get real-time feedback and create products that they want and they need.
Thank you, Paula. This is very insightful. But for me, as somebody who is interested in human behavior and psychology, it's very interesting to see that an overwhelming amount of young people are spending more and more time in digital world, and metaverse is something that where they're finding their resort and from the real life. And how do you how can you comment on finding the balance, especially for Gen Zs and about mental health as well?
That's a great question. Well, firstly, I've been in technology for about 20 years. And even in terms of when I was working in AI, it's going to replace humans. It's like, not really. I'm more concerned about humans than I am about the technology. That's the first thing. The second thing would be, I'm hoping that technology won't become a replacement. Technology is a tool. It's there to enhance existing experiences. It's there to facilitate human experiences. In terms of the youth of today, I'm sure there'll be some sort of regulation that says that the app will switch off after 15 minutes. We're going to see a lot of regulatory and compliance laws come in to regulate the metaverse and the usage of it. But I'm not that scared as other people, because I'm middle-aged now. I'm 43. So I would have been around for Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3. So even, my sense of responsibility when I'm building like AI or blockchain use cases, I'm thinking as a parent. I'm the parent of metaverse, because if you think about it, we've learned a lot from Web 2. So we're not like bold crypto teenagers. We're adults now. We're mature adults, and it is our duty to ensure that the type of use cases, platforms, and apps that we're building do take into account young people and things like security, trust, and follow the regulations of different policyholders, really. So we have it's purpose, purpose population, and taking responsibility on the type of use cases. Because, like I said, I'm not worried about the technology. I'm worried about the humans that are building the technology. And that's why, we need this kind of consensus approach to building these use cases with society in mind, of course. I don't know if that answers your question. I think it does.
No, that's great. Thank you. Paula, when you talk to big fashion brands about co-creation, collaboration, you talk to real people, and who are these people actually? Are they men? Are they women? Because it's fashion and it's about creation. I'm just interested about who is behind these technologies at the moment. Who are these people you're talking to, and where we're all going in terms of well, I'm passionate about women empowerment and presentation of women in tech as well. Where we're
Okay.
going here?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, historically in technology, they say that women are better at finding bugs and analyzing, and that men are better at building, apparently so. What I notice about what I interface with the various tech teams, they are quite male dominated, particularly in, you know, building out the different types of use cases. But we see, because we're replicating human processes, you need to have a balance of male and females. And I'm not just talking about gender, I'm talking about leadership traits, right? So, you know, when I have this, you know, the gender question in my class, I'm like, you know, let's leave gender aside for 2 seconds. Why don't we just focus on male and female leadership traits? Because remember, and I always say this, you know, when I say to my students, would you prefer an AI version? And they were like, no, because she probably wouldn't say silly things. So my point is, when we're building these use cases, you need to have a balance of male and female, because, you know, we don't want to create these and genders, the different kinds of ethnicities and backgrounds and cultures. So we do replicate these, well, semi-replicate these human processes in a balanced and non-biased way. So yeah, I mean, even for me, you know, working with these teams, I try and I use my male leadership traits and my female leadership traits, but I have to be born in a female body. Lucky me. So I definitely think there's going to be much more about, we need women. Women are nurturers. Women, they empower people. It's a terrible thing to say, but I used to say, you know, if there was more women in the world, maybe we'd have less wars and all that kind of thing. So yeah, women are great, and I'm happy to support and empower them. But it's nice. I do switch, in fairness. I will switch from male to female if I think based on the situation. That's just, I guess, I feel growing up in Ireland. I remember when I was 7, I said to my dad, I said, geez, you know, am I going to be disadvantaged, Dad, because I'm born like as a female? And he was like, well, you just have to learn the traits of both. So it was instilled in me from a very young age that I wanted to be part of building a more balanced society. So yeah, that's kind of the person I've become.
Thank you. That's a great answer. I have a very technical question for you.
Sure.
It's about platforms and the protocols being used for creating digital fashion and apparels, NFT, for avatars to use. For example, if it's Sandbox or Decentraland or Illuvium or any other, you know, there are different metaverses and different blockchains that are used. What about transition from one metaverse to another metaverse? And there is a Facebook metaverse. How, if you have, let's say, jumpsuit that is, you know, digital, it's you, or you have an avatar that is like fashion model, whatever, of yours. How do you actually exist in this world if these metaverses are built on different chains?
That's a great question. Well, again, you know, we need to go back to Web 2. So yes, I was around for Web 2 and had the same issues. We're having the same conversations, regulation, security, interoperability, compatibility, transferability, all that kind of thing. So we know now that, you know, as blockchains evolving, as the platforms, applications, use cases, and protocols are evolving, there has to be some sort of transferable assets from one blockchain to another. So interoperability and scaling, personally, I think it is something that's very, very current at the moment. I mean, we do have some organizations that do on-chain and interchain transactions, but to be fair, in the future, I'd say it'll become a standardized process. There will be multiple metaverses that are all interoperable with each other, exchanging goods and services. So it's following the same trajectory as we would have had in Web 2.
Thank you. That's incredible. It's so exciting. It's a new world. When you teach students, what kind of students do you have? What exactly do you teach them, and why it is fashion, why Web3, why Metaverse, and how did they all blend together?
That's a very interesting question. So 20 years ago, I studied computer science. I did e-commerce. So I would have started off very early teaching e-commerce, and then I got into fashion and tech. The subjects I teach right now in the Masters in Fashion Buying, so one of my subjects would be omni-channel retail and store environment. So I look at how we replicate or how we utilize the features of artificial intelligence and blockchain technologies in the in-store environment. Because regardless of whether you're shopping in a store, using an app, shopping in the metaverse, it all has to be seamlessly integrated, because at the end of the day, we want to create this seamless integration. And whether it's, an omniverse, we say omniverse, right? I think that's a word, omniverse, where you have a mixture of offline and online. So this is the type of subjects I teach at master's level. Then my first years, they're quite funny actually. So I have the regular subjects like management principles, building businesses and that type of thing. So Web3 is going to trickle in, because I have some students who do already participate in cryptocurrency. Some of them actually own a fractional, I think is it a crypto kitty or a crypto punk? I'm not sure. So it's, to be fair, it's not coming from the university curriculum. It's coming from Roblox. It's coming from, they're gaming at home, and then they're coming into my class and telling me, oh, what's this, what's that? So it's not on the official university curriculum, because to be fair, state universities can be quite conservative. They're quite slow to adapt. And also, Web3 is still quite nascent. So trying to, explain these concepts that actually don't exist really yet, or commercialize them, has kind of given me an opportunity to fit in. So I'm somebody that's in the future, but I'm back to the future to make it more commercial, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. This is incredible. You are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for these answers. I'm just blown away. We have some more questions for you.
Sure.
One of the questions we have is that why would you transition into digital completely? And do you actually have anything that is connected with physical fashion still that you are teaching, or you're applying in your life, or you have clients, or because for me it's very scary actually. It's very exciting, but being in the metaverse and creating something in there and teaching people about it is it's great, but losing the connection with the real world and what you had, this experience, this rich experience in fashion that you had, you still use it in real life.
Yes, well, that's a great question. So one of the reasons why I've kind of got into digital fashion and out of haute couture fashion buying, which was my previous job in China, is because I did a TED talk and defining the undefined, educating entire supply chain simultaneously to encourage sustainability. Sounds like a mouthful. The reason inspired me to do that is because I had a sinusitis operation where I had a black carbon fungus removed from my sinuses in China, because I used to travel around to the factories, create the clothes. And then if I wasn't doing that, I was flying to Paris Fashion Week. So when I came back, my doctor said to me, you know what, maybe it's time to go home. Maybe working in fashion is too dirty. There's too much pollution. So it inspired me then to talk about this TED talk and saying that, look, we don't want your shitty product. You haven't done your market research and there's no customer for it anyway. So I said, maybe I'll go back to my technology roots. I'll study the supply chain. I'll think about, well, where can I place AI in there to replicate and maybe forecast how much water's been used? Maybe I'll use NFTs for authenticity, provenance, and ownership in the early part of the supply chain. And that's what NFTs were used for historically, before they became like these 3D fashion wearables that are available using AR. So I don't work in physical fashion anymore. I don't go to Haute Couture Fashion Week. My Chinese clients are very comfortable and safe in China. So I'm not working in the physical side of fashion anymore, because I found it so dirty, if that makes sense. And it just wasn't good for my health. And I said, okay, I can't stay in fashion production. I don't really want to do flying or do haute couture buying. The carbon footprint is too high. And I thought, oh my God, now I'm middle-aged, what's my career? And then, I remember, well, I have a tech background and I spent the last 8 years in China. And as you know, China is pioneers of APP. So I said, I know, why don't I just teach tech and build like these use cases that are real time? And this will prevent like overproduction, and it'll build a community of people who give a shit. And this is my reason to exist, I suppose. And then I have to build this community of people that are asking questions. Well, where's that from? And is there an alternative? And critical thinking skills. This is my jam, I suppose.
Well, about the community, as you know, Unit, we're all about community and meeting people and working together towards impact and change in the world and supporting talent as well. Who is your main, who are your community members? I remember in your TED talk, you were talking about Gen X meeting Gen Zs and how they can actually work together towards, sustainable fashion and
Sure.
actually.
Yeah, so I found a way. It was through open innovation programs and acceleration programs. So this is where you'll find me. You'll find me in the startup space, working with a startup that's trying to interface with the corporation. So, and these people in the startup spaces are normally younger people with great ideas. And they, I'm like the interface between the Gen Z. I like their vibes. I know what they're trying to say. I know what they need. But at the same time, I'm communicating with people like myself and older. Say, guys, I know what they're trying to do. I'm like the bridge between the two. So they're developing. They have the ideas, and the corporations and companies have the resources. So trying to bridge those two, and then together, developing good use cases and good products and services that have a circularity focus or have a sustainability focus. I know we do a lot of design thinking in our university, and I always say, design thinking is great, but if you add circularity to that, it becomes smart thinking. So yeah, I like smart thinking. I try and instill that as much as I can in my classes.
Amazing. Guys, we have a couple of minutes. Do we have any questions from the audience?
I have a quick question, but I'm a bit shy to ask a question because I missed. Hello, hi there, Paula. Because I missed 5 minutes. But the concept of the metaverse, I'm just interested in where you see that going in 10 or 20 years time. Like, what is the future of this? What is it exactly, and what is the future? What future does it hold for us?
So it depends on how you define metaverse. So my understanding of metaverse is a completely decentralized, it's based on democracy, it's based on, consensus and balanced, building a balanced community. In the next 20, 30 years, I mean, as we transition to that, there'll be some versions of it. I mean, you've heard, the various media stories about Meta from Facebook. Is it really a metaverse or is it just something else? So I can't really tell you where I'll see it in 20, 30 years. I'm hoping that we will have ironed up all the kinks in Web 2 and that we will have a decentralized or truly decentralized place where people have like equal rights and they have access to different kinds of resources like financing and so on. But I definitely think it really depends on who's viewing the metaverse. Like if you say it, from a brand perspective, they'll see it in terms of marketing communications and building relationships with consumers. But it could mean something else to like maybe financial institutions, DeFi and other kinds of financial products or other types of institutions that will exist in Web3. So yeah, so it really depends. Is it really Web3 decentralized or is it a kind of a mediocre version of the two? But of course, regulation as well and developing different kinds of frameworks and using what we know from Web 2 is going to play a big factor.
Thank you,
in
Paula.
that.
Thank you.
Sure. Anybody else?
Yeah, well, we have a question from Dennis. We will be sitting 24/7 at home with the helmets connected to Metaverse. Is this where it's all going?
I hope not. I still, like I said, technology is a tool to enhance existing experiences. I'd be disappointed if it was completely replaceable. I still think it's kind of like omniverse or omni-channel retail. We're still keeping the store environment. It's unrealistic. We're human beings that like to interact with tangible things. So it's going to be a combination. I believe. I don't think it's going to be. I will not be sitting at home in my smalls, with things stuck to my face, in my blue hair and pink skin. You'll be able to meet me in the physical world as well. So it's a balance, really.
We hope so. What are the current challenges that you experience in the industry? What is the biggest challenges? right
What
now.
are the big challenges? Sorry, I didn't get that. Challenges for the metaverse?
That we experience in this industry at the moment, or you experience?
At the moment, it would have to be hardware. I know China's picking on Taiwan at the moment. Poor Taiwan, on the AI hardware chips. So we have a chip shortage, and then also, you know, extracting silicone for these chips. So this, you know, from a building out the Web3 infrastructure, you know, we definitely have a problem with or the chip shortage. So that from probably a hardware perspective. Then software, I mean, you know, we're going through different types of technological transformation, and it's much more rapid than you say, let's say, regulation and, you know, what's happening in the real world. So I think interoperability, building out the space, building trust, you know, creating these products that are not biased or harmful to societies, that's the challenge. And also probably communicating it to the masses. I mean, to be fair, I'm not sure what the adoption is going to be. I think it's going to depend on how fast we can build out the web infrastructure. Is it secure and safe? And, you know, what kind of policies are going to be built around it?
What is, we have another question. What are the main players, projects in Web3 for digital fashion and metaverse? Can you name them?
Yes. So what we have is we've got marketplaces like the Dematerialized. I have 5 wearable NFTs from them. I use fiat, not crypto. Then we have DressX, which is, by the way, the Dematerialized NFT wearables. On DressX, we have 3D wearable objects, but they're not NFTs. And I buy from them as well. Let me see who else. We've got the Fabricant. We've got, oh, my favorite at the moment is Digitalax. I'm sure you guys are familiar with it. Emma Lee is building out this new fashion operating system whereby people like me can rock up into a library and build our own virtual fashion and rock up on the metaverse. Because as we speak, I cannot sew, I cannot draw, I cannot cut fabric, but I know if I rock up on Digitalax, I can build out my whole metaverse fashion wardrobe. So Digitalax for me will probably be like the heroes at the moment in digital fashion. And then of course you have brands who are tinkering with the metaverse, like Puma, Nike, Dolce & Gabbana, and so on. Yeah.
Do you actually have these pieces? The digital?
Yes, I do. If I didn't have if my technology wasn't so messy today, I would actually show you my NFT wallet from the Luxo platform. I have my baby Karl Lagerfeld. I have 2 pairs of pajamas, 1 earrings, and 1 bag. And these NFTs, my mom was saying, oh, you're wasting your money on these NFTs. And I was like, Mom, I'm going to use these as collateral to get a loan so I can buy a house in Decentraland.
Oh my God, this is so amazing.
Right. And she was like, NFT collateral, what does that mean? And I'm like, yeah, you know, the tokenization of things and community funding and all that kind of stuff. So I have I have my NFTs as their assets, I suppose, that'll help me.
Are you going to have your own digital classroom? Well,
I would love to have my own digital classroom, or maybe get Nike to sponsor my clothing or something, or maybe Chanel. That would be cool. Fabian from Luxo is a friend. Yeah, amazing. Marjorie and Karina, the whole Luxo fam. I love their wearable NFTs. They're very, very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Any fashion shows, digital fashion shows, and any metaverses are coming up this year?
Not that I know of, but I do know my friend at 360 Fashion, Annette. I was in France there, and she sent me this AR fashion show. So it was quite funny actually, because I was in Paris and I was trying to shoo some pigeons out of the way so I could make this VR fashion show. But I've only developed VR fashion show via a mobile phone device. So metaverse ones, I haven't been to any. But you know, it's very easy to create AR fashion shows. You know, you just need, you know, Spark and what other types of 3D objects using your camera. But VR, no. But I hope to be asked to some soon. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at least you've got something to look forward to. What is the last piece for our audience that you would like to share? Something that you're excited about, or maybe you have actually a favor to ask for. What is it? last piece of a gem of advice, maybe, or something.
So what? Gosh, I don't know. What would I think? I think well, what I would say to you guys is stay curious, keep an open mind. You know, find ways in which we can. I mean, you know, people are worried about the metaverse, but I do believe people are good. And I think we all need to be ambassadors. I mean, the technology is going to come and it's going to be adapted whether you like it or not. So embrace it, but be responsible and rock up and own it. And also in terms of digital twinning, like somebody was asking me today, you know, oh, what's your Instagram handle? And I said, my Instagram handle is the same as my Discord handle, is the same as my, you know, my digital person in this world is exactly the same online. I don't have pseudonames. My crypto wallet is my name. So that's something, you know, I'm not going to rock up in a metaverse as somebody else. I mean, okay, I might change my hair or my clothes, but it's still going to be Paula Marie Kilgarriff in the metaverse versus Paula Marie Kilgarriff in the real world. And that's integrity, authenticity, and something that I am going to embrace, my own digital twin. But you will have people, there are, you know, conversations going on now, we can become somebody else and have a pseudonym. And I don't think that's healthy. But, you know, what do you think? You know, you can rock up as somebody else with a different name and get up to all sorts of things.
Well, I'm going to be me, that's for sure. We're actually working on a very exciting project with Leisha together. Maybe we'll hear more about it, but it's going to be super exciting. Our own person, yeah, we're going to be our own characters, and maybe we'll add a little bit of superpower, but it's going to be me. Yeah. That
was the only concern really I have about the internet or this new phenomena in the metaverse is people impersonating other people, and you know, it becomes like you know, an augmented version of social media, and maybe there's dark sides of it. You know, we definitely don't want that. We want to keep it, you know, an enjoyable and safe place for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I hope it's going to be regulated, and it's definitely are going to be a safe place, because why would people create this? It has to be. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Amazing conversation, very inspiring and insightful. Thank you so much.
All right, guys, thanks for having me, and see you I think sometime in November, for the Unit Masters. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Guys, thank you so much.